birds of prey, paint their canvas with his lost soul's carrion brush.
He was with his favorite call girl and his black limousine, doing lines of coke and drinking cold champagne, when he heard the distant rumble of 1,000 bat-like wings, an explosion which caused his ears to pain. His mind was filled with terror as a limo route was severed by iron talons that grabbed his soul. There were visceral screams and moans and the sound of crushing bones as the birds from hell flew him to his new home.
Another politician has just taken center stage. He tells all the people that he loves them so. He comes on like a sage, says with him they should engage. A false prophet selling endless empty prose.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
I'm James Creechbaum with the Paranormal and World Changes News. A new facility to produce oxygen from moon dust. Yes, the new technique could help make it possible for humans to live on the lunar surface in the not-too-distant future. Being able to acquire oxygen from resources found on the moon would obviously be hugely useful for future lunar settlers, both for breathing and in the local production of rocket fuel. The military's hidden uses for 5G technology. At the London summit, the 29 member countries of NATO agreed to guarantee the security of our communications, including 5G. Why is this fifth generation of mobile data transmission so important to NATO? While the earlier technologies were perfected to create ever more advanced smartphones, 5G is designed not only to improve their performance, but mainly to link digital systems which need enormous quantities of data in order to work automatically. The most important 5G applications will not be intended for civil use, but for the military domain. Mars, Great Salt Lake may share geologic oddity that reveals life. Crystalline minerals have formed mounds at Utah's Great Salt Lake that might be similar to mineral structures on Mars that could preserve traces of ancient life, according to a recent report. The mounds, as high as 3 feet, are made up of mirabilite and crystalline sodium sulfate. Scientists say they will likely dissolve as warmer weather returns in the spring. Genealogy sites could be newest way for police to solve crimes. Now, genealogy sites and its DNA test capabilities to not only find long-lost family, but it may also lead to catching criminals. Here's how it works. When a person takes an at-home DNA test, it could lead to more than just a long-lost family member. DNA has fueled crime investigations for decades, but it continues to evolve more and more every day. A couple who lived together for 65 years died on the same day. The first date, the couple took place in 1955, right on Halloween Day. Since that day, the residents of Oakville, Missouri, have never parted. The husband passed away on Saturday at 15:34 hours, and the wife at 23:53 hours. It is said to realize this. However, on the other hand, the couple are back together, said the niece of the family. Sunscreen chemicals exceed safety levels in bloodstream after single use, the FDA says. After one application, 7 chemicals commonly found in the sunscreens can be absorbed into the bloodstream at levels exceeding safety thresholds. Studies by the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research and arm of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration have reported. Cold, stunned iguanas are actually falling from South Florida trees. The National Weather Service routinely warns people about falling rain, snow, and hail. But temperatures have dropped so low in South Florida that forecasters warn residents about falling iguanas. The low temperatures stun the invasive reptiles, but the iguanas, they won't necessarily die. That means many will wake up as temperatures rise on the following day. Next news break will be tomorrow night.
From our compound, from the West Coast to the East Coast to worldwide, both on the internet and terrestrial radio, you're listening to Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
Well, we're talking to Ray and Victoria, but you know one thing, James, about these, iguanas that are falling out of the trees, which I mentioned at the beginning of the show. There's a group of people out there with their shopping carts grabbing these things because it's a delicacy, and they don't have to worry about them running away. They just can pick them up, put them in the shopping cart, take them home, clean them out, and cook them.
Not me, buddy. Not me.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat them. I'll tell you that. Somehow eating a lizard just doesn't do anything to me. Maybe if I was on a deserted island, and that's the only source of protein, I might consider it. But I tell you, I'd have to be really hungry first.
I agree with you on that one. I can't argue with that.
Well, you know, Victoria, one thing, and Ray, I wanted to say this. One thing I would do, the next time you go to the doctors or anything, you know, at least where you suspect maybe there's an implant. Because I've been getting a lot of text messages and a lot of emails. People are kind of curious. You know, if I thought I had an implant, I would have, I would check. I really would. And it's not that expensive nowadays to get an x-ray to see if there is something going on. And again, if you got something in your mouth like 2 ball bearings, it could be an implant, it could be some form of cancer or something else. And this is what people are telling me. In fact, a dentist was just telling me that on the email. Get that checked out. That's one thing in the mouth you do not want to wait on.
I mean, I've had it for decades.
Well, still,
I thought everybody had it.
I don't have it. I don't know about you, Ray, but I would want to get that checked out.
Asked him.
I'm not a contactee that I know of. I have zero recollection. I've seen a craft at short range, but it was in my neighborhood several years ago, coming back from a doctor's appointment. I was in the middle of the traffic. I don't have any subconscious murky memories of missing time. I don't have any scoop marks that I know. I don't have any of the evidence. So I don't know why I'm interested in the topic, except for the fact that I was introduced to it all those years ago at Wright-Patterson and subsequently learned of Wright-Patterson's history. But then Victoria and many others, theirs is a different story. They have these murky subconscious memories. They have conscious memories. They have regression, proven memories. They have physical evidence. There's clinical evidence. So, for me to go ahead and search for an implant will probably be a fruitless endeavor. But for Victoria, I've often mentioned to her that might be a good idea. But, most people who have a implant are aware of it, but aren't really sure what it is. And if you follow the Roger Lear books, you read his Alien Scalpel and his other works, you'll find out that the clients that he performed surgeries on, they came to him and they said, I notice I have this little lump that it tends to move around unnaturally when I put my finger on it, or, it exhibited some other kind of strange behavior. And I just would think that if you don't have a subconscious memory of getting an implant, or you don't discover something that's acting unusual like this, I'm thinking the odds of you having one is very high.
Well, I will say this, Ray. Timothy Collin, for example, and we have had Whitley on the show, and he's coming back in February the 20th. But I say, like with Calvin Parker, I don't know if he's had an implant. He's been on the show numerous times. But I can honestly tell you, some of these people that have implants, they didn't realize they had an implant. What, like Timothy Collin, him and his wife saw a UFO close to their house. They were at a stop sign and they noticed this UFO. And then, he gets involved in a car accident. He goes to a doctor a few weeks later. They do x-rays and they find something in him that wasn't from the car accident. He didn't even know it was there. And then with the x-ray, he saw it. He contacts the late Dr. Roger Lear, sends the x-rays over to him. And then Dr. Roger Lear agrees to meet with him, looks over the x-rays, does the surgery, and finds an implant that was silver-based and some other base metal to it, but it could not have been compounded on Earth because the way it was put together. But, like Timothy Collin didn't even know he had an implant. So some of these people don't know they've been implanted. They have loss of time. They might have seen a UFO, and that they didn't, there they were implanted. That's why I'm very curious, like with Victoria, she has the scoop mark. That's one of the signs of being abducted. And a lot of these people that have been abducted end up with implants. It's like I was mentioning Terry Lovelace, a former U.S. Assistant Attorney General, has an implant in his leg, and I can go on and on and on. You have him in Whitley that has an implant in his ear. When they try to remove it, it just would move on its own. Very interesting. So that's all I was asking. With her, if she has something in her mouth like ball BBs or ball bearings, and it moves, I would get it checked out again, because that's not normal.
I'm in total agreement with that. Victoria, do you think this is an appropriate place to bring up somebody else we know that might have an implant that's related to you?
Well, I was actually going to talk. I guess we can. But I was going to, tell him what happened after that vibration experience. I regressed on that experience, that vibration experience that I had where I slid down the bed. So I can do the other implant story or that one first.
That's your choice.
Yeah, your choice.
Yeah. So, so my second regression with Barbara Lamb, I wanted to investigate this vibration experience because it was I was awake. I knew I was awake. And so, and basically what happened was, in the regression, I uncovered that I had actually gone through the wall underneath my window, horizontally. I went absolutely through the wall, and I came out the other side. I went upright. On the right side, as I looked to the right, I saw this sphere, this like big orb sphere thing, that maybe it was a craft or something. But on to my left, around the dormer, I had a couple dormers, and I was looking around the dormer, and I could see at a distance were 3 iridescent mantis beings in white Jesuit robes with the high collar, and they were sitting on a curved bench. And so as I was facing them, there were 3 of them. As I was facing them, the one on the right was like leaning towards the one in the middle, and I could see his long arm, and the way he was leaning, I could see part of his leg, and I could see a little bit of his arm, and I could see their faces and their eyes. And they were iridescent. They were really pretty. And the one as I was facing them, the one on the right looked like he was like leaning over and like whispering something to the one in the middle, which seemed strange to me. And I just kind of, in my regression, I just kind of like, I couldn't get over there. I was just kept saying, I don't know what they want. What are they doing? And then all of a sudden I was almost right in front of them. And basically what they imparted was that we can all traverse dimensions by raising our vibratory frequency. And, lots of people know that and understand that. But what's interesting is that it all was part of this vibration experience that I had. And So I did that regression